Hey everyone, Amarathi back with another build guide. Today we'll be looking at a Lethal Mirage build. Lethal Mirage has always been a fantastic ability that's done a heap of damage, but has never really been endgame viable because of its long cooldown. However, patch 083 has introduced a new dagger. It's called the Fulgurite Shard and it reduces Lethal Mirage's cooldown while giving it a whole heap of added lightning damage. I was really keen to make a build that had Lethal Mirage at the core of its damage, so by using two of these I've managed to come across something that's actually been quite successful and pushed up to 400 corruption. If you're just after the build planner, check the links below. I have a budget version, an endgame version, and a more defensive arena or hardcore version. However, stick around and I'll go through the key interactions and how the build works. The build revolves around using the Rogue's passive Flow, hence the name Combo Rogue. You gain a stack of flow whenever you use a unique skill. Your fourth unique skill will then consume all your stacks of flow to do increased damage. Taking the node Pulse will increase that to 5 skills required, but also make sure that the ability you use will have a 100% crit chance, which is key for this build as we want Lethal Mirage to crit for all of its hits. Before we use our Lethal Mirage, we're going to be using Shift. In an atypical setup of Shift, we're going to be looking at the nodes that increase the damage of the next non-channel skill, and we're going to be using Shift right before our Lethal Mirage, with Briskella's Hesitation, Velocity and Head Trauma to drastically increase the amount of damage that Lethal Mirage will do. Within the Lethal Mirage tree, we'll be looking at the Umbral Feast and Shadow Eater nodes. Shadow Eater will consume all active shadows, gaining you additional mirages, which is essentially just additional hits with your Lethal Mirage per shadow consumed. We can get up to 5 shadows. Umbral Feast will also increase the damage multiplicatively per shadow consumed, so with 5 shadows consumed, we'll be doing 200% more damage with our Lethal Mirage. To get those shadows, we'll be using Synchronous Strike with the Dark Allies node to get 4 shadows out, as well as Lasting Presence in the Shift tree to get the 5th shadow. Lastly, we'll be looking at Coated Blades. This drastically increases your damage by 80% multiplicatively with any melee attack that consumes mana. However, it does consume additional mana on top of that, making this build quite mana hungry and you requiring a lot of mana regen. The two abilities that consume mana are Synchronous Strike and Lethal Mirage. We will be able to reduce Lethal Mirage's mana cost through affixes, but just be aware this build does require you to play around your mana, and you may want to take points out of Coated Blade until you feel that you've got the right mana regen. To help out with our mana, we'll be using Flurry. In particular, we'll be looking at Sap Willpower within the Flurry tree, as well as Sapping Strikes within the Rogue passive, giving you up to 10 mana per hit on Flurry. The main part of our defense will come from Mirage Form. Mirage Form is a buff that comes from the Phantasmal Presence tree, as well as the Rending Darkness tree. Every crit you land within your Lethal Mirage will give you 1 second of Mirage Form, which gives you 800 dodge rating. Finally, Shurikens is there to provide us with our trusty bladed armor, giving us 150% increased armor. We'll be hardcasting our Shurikens in this build, and taking the shock nodes to help with our lightning damage. And like I said earlier in the video, for those looking for an arena version of this or a hardcore version of this, I point towards the Corsair set. I don't run this myself, but you can use Apostasy to convert all that dodge you would get from Mirage Form into Glancing Blow. You should be able to comfortably get to the Glancing Blow cap, and then the Corsair set will convert all that Glancing Blow into block, meaning you effectively have a 100% block chance. With enough block effectiveness on your gear, you can get roughly 60% damage reduction. Well, there you go guys, that's the full run through. As I said before, all the details can be found in the planners below depending on what kind of content you're after. 11th hour games seem to be exceeding my expectations with everything they've put out. I can't wait for multiplayer to come out and the full release is going to be amazing. In the meantime, you can catch me out on Twitch as I've been streaming a whole heap recently. I stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays during the Australian evening, as well as Saturdays during the day to catch up with my American friends. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to Epoch Builds. I've been working with them this patch to put out 2 other builds, including my Void Cleave, using the Eternal Eclipse, as well as my Mana Tank Static Orb. They're a great channel that showcases the best of the community, and I'd highly recommend you to check them out, especially if you're a new player. Well, there you go guys, until next time.